Thank you, and good afternoon. We're a little smaller today because some of us are in Todos Santos, and some of us are in Ireland, and some of us are in San Francisco, and we're a very busy group. Whenever we share here, I want to please make sure that the wireless mic is in front of you on the counter there, so that you're not holding it. Make sure that it's close to you so that people on the phone can hear easily. And also, if you share, say who you are first, so that the people on the phone know that. And people on the conference call, holler at us if we forget to tell you who we are or you can't hear us, because there's no reason not to hear this as clearly as we can. And the other thing one of us learned is that if you're on a cell phone and you've got it on speaker, the quality will not be nearly as good as if you plug in your little earbuds and your mic. That'll make a huge difference. It did for one person who suddenly went from hearing practically nothing to hearing the whole thing, and it also, when you speak to us, we hear you much better. We noticed that last week. So if you're on a cell phone, plug in earbuds or an earphone and a mic, and use it that way, please. All right, let's spend, as usual, the first 45 minutes or so sharing where we're at. We are just about done with the technical script work, the human script work, the humanhood part of this thing. We're also at the halfway point of the workshop. And so we've done, we know about script lists and resistance behavior lists. We know about glitches. We know about taking 100% responsibility, and hopefully this week we've been practicing managing our script, which is just an important interim step. That's the humanhood part of this, is learning how to manage your script, and so that it doesn't destroy your life while you're trying to do the rest of this. And hopefully we've made a list of contrary examples for each of our scripts. And all we're going to do is add today 2 more columns to that list of scripts and resistance behaviors, the fantasy scripts and fantasy behaviors, just to complete that list. And that's really going to be the end of the script work. So share about anything you've got going on. We're going to first of all, are there any questions? Anybody have any questions that they want answered before we start into the round robin sharing? I guess not. Okay, try to share for a few minutes. Don't share everything that's going on, but share something. Share what you're working with most importantly. And let's. Did you want to say something? Yeah.
Yeah.
Lynn wants to share. All right, we'll start with Lynn first.
Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
I just find it amazing that every time I take this class, that every single time at certain events, they may not be as intense, but the awareness of the glitch or the awareness of certain situations or certain people that are a trigger or whatever, it becomes a little bit more intense. I'm not sure what the word is. So I had a situation with my husband who has been my teacher throughout this course, and I was amazed that I got into a situation with him where I actually had an altercation, like anger, and I missed the glitch, and the glitch wasn't even about I'm not sure how to explain it, but I walked into the house and I was already thinking everything that he was doing wrong, which is, I didn't even get it. I kind of noticed it, but I just walked around, and then it progressed into an altercation about a misunderstanding about right and wrong, like I did something and I was incorrect and he was, let's say, correct, and I ended up extricating myself from the situation, then coming back down and yelling. And I haven't done that in a long time, yelling and screaming, "You have issues," and I decided to leave, and I ended up calling Lee, and it was that moment that was interesting. That I know I have a script right and wrong, and also just whatever. And I don't even know what to say, but I haven't told you this, but I thought it was very interesting. I went back to the house because I just didn't want to go find a place to stay the night or something, you know. And I thought I had enough spiritual, I guess, growth to be able to go back into my home, and I had an awareness of what was my part, and I went back in, and I ended up talking to my husband, and not wanting to go back into like rehashing what happened, but I ended up at one point when I saw him, he wanted to be right, and I'm like, no, I'm not going there, and then all of a sudden I realized I'm 100% responsible, and I said to him, you know, I'm 100% responsible for this, and I did say, you're right, I'm not sure if that's, and all of a sudden I felt like everything just melted away. There was nothing, it's like totally just off my body and out the door. It was like, I'm 100% responsible. And you're right, and okay. Mm-hmm. And he just sat there, and it was the weirdest It was the weirdest moment. I haven't felt that ever. I mean, I've taken responsibility, but I really meant it. There was just something that came over me.
See, that's when you're in spiritual consciousness.
Yeah, I felt it.
You went in to begin with in a very human consciousness the first time, and that was your experience. You came down the second time in your center, in God consciousness, and that was your experience. Just amazing, isn't it?
Well, it was almost like something descended upon me.
It did.
And I was 100%, I didn't have to be right, I didn't have to be wrong, I just had to be responsible.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, and then I just sat there and I'm like, nothing else to talk about, see ya. And I don't feel right.
No.
I just feel like I got myself into weirdly...
Yep, it has nothing to do with right or wrong.
Oh.
It has to do with I am experiencing my consciousness, and so I am always 100% responsible for what I'm experiencing.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for that moment.
Yeah, you betcha. That's even.
And I'm grateful for going back and feeling as if I had some...
Good for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that if I didn't go back, and so I'm really happy.
Yeah, good for you. Thank you.
Yeah.
A lot of us are making some significant strides, by the way. We'll talk a lot in the second part of this. Monica flew all the way in from Sedona so she could share a live, and she's next.
Hi, I'm Monica, and great to be here. Wow, I was really struck by what I just heard. The one thing that has helped a lot is this idea of taking, I think, a quarter step back or just taking a small step back and just really observing. It's like when the glitch happens, I'm just watching it, and just taking that time to just watch it and not do anything goes a long way toward it dissolving.
Yes.
By just watching it, it tends to dissolve very quickly before it even becomes anything of momentum.
That's the whole point of managing script, of catching the glitch.
Yeah.
The whole point is that you are now looking at it instead of caught up in it. And that's night and day.
It is. And there's one area where I have a very hard time doing that, and that's with someone very close to me who's in script almost all the time. And this 100% responsibility thing is really, sometimes I feel like I'm responsible for helping her dissolve her script. And that's, of course, if I'm 100% responsible for mine, then she's 100% responsible for hers.
Now let's let's look at that, because that's a good point. No, you're not responsible for correcting her script. You're responsible for seeing the spiritual being who is script-free, who is in your life.
Yes.
There is no one there with any script going on except in your consciousness. It's way back there that the work happens. You don't have to help her. She doesn't need help.
No.
She's God. She doesn't need help. You have the view of a person who's in script all the time, and that's your work.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, so that right now is my biggest work, and it's really my daily work.
Great.
And sometimes I can see that spiritual being, and sometimes I realize that this loop is so deeply ingrained of not spiritual being, but seeing the humanhood. Very deeply ingrained loop, so I get into it very quickly, and I have to exert a lot of effort to stay conscious.
Yep.
So in the larger picture of my everyday life, it means I spend a lot more time in quiet, in meditation. For a few years now, I don't have a TV or magazine or anything like that. I just don't spend a lot of time out, because in order for me to stay conscious enough to see the spiritual beings of people and situations, I can't be out, looking at things. And it was so funny, because this is the last thing I'll say, when you were talking about sitcoms, because sometimes I like to watch this show Glee, because I love the singing and stuff. But we watched it together last week, and right after it was over, we looked at each other. We're like, why did we just watch that? Because we just spent an hour watching people have one script event after another, and we were just exhausted from it. We're like, why did we do that? Why do we do that to ourselves?
Yep.
But the whole thing of taking a step back, and the other thing is contrary examples help so much. Contrary examples help a lot. So that's it. Thanks.
Great. Yeah, the only thing worse than sitcoms is presidential debates. Although they're funnier. Paulina.
I'm Paulina.
Hi, Paulina.
I guess I had two things that kind of sort of happened this week. One is that in terms of my script, I felt like I was starting to get overwhelmed, like I had 1,000 variations of scripts, and that like I could come up with a different, like every single situation seemed to have a different script. And so I had to, like, I called Lee and I had a conversation with him, because I ended up having to like really like break them down and be like, okay, but that's just a fear of this, which is a fear of that, which is a fear of that. And so I was able to narrow them down, and then that didn't feel so overwhelming.
Let me just clarify that. My script may be that I'll always be abandoned. And my head will tell me 10,000 reasons on 10,000 different occasions why this person's going to abandon me. And those are the stories that I tell myself about the script. But the script is I'll be abandoned. And in spite of the fact that it's abandoned by him or by her or by my job, or, there's the one script. So don't confuse the stories you're telling yourself about the script with the script. And I'm glad you clarified that. Thank you.
And so then it was a little bit easier to like think of contrary examples, and I found that like I had one particular one that I ended up writing out contrary examples to, and because it was like a really specific script and I could come up with really specific contrary examples, that seemed to be more helpful. And I was trying to figure out what was different, because I had done a list of contrary examples maybe 6 months ago, and I was like, whatever. And I was driving somewhere yesterday, and I had this like realization of like, I think in my head I had thought like the scripts to me feel like they're these like impenetrable walls of like truth, and they're there and they're monstrous. And if I make a list that's big enough, it would like overpower that. And that has not been my experience. It's like a really long list of counterexamples, and it does not just make the big wall go away. And what ended up happening yesterday is that as I was driving and I was thinking about it, there was just that like little moment where that list of counterexamples that I had come up with like made me question how impenetrable it was. Like it almost like it just like put a little crack in it. It's not like it made it come down, but it put this little crack in it so that it suddenly wasn't like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like, it makes me question whether or not it's really true and it's really that big, because now there's suddenly this little like bit of doubt in it. So it's not like it's gone, but it's like I can't really believe it 100% anymore because
Perfect. Perfect.
Because it's, yeah.
That's the point.
So that was my aha moment this week.
That's the point of contrary example lists, to prove that it's not truth, all caps. It's a story that you believe very strongly, but it's just a story. And you don't know what's going to happen because in this list of cases it didn't happen. That's the whole point. So yeah, that weakens it. Perfect. Thank you. Patty, are you with us? Don't forget *6.
Hi, Lee.
Hi, Patty.
Hi. Well, I am seeing like some interesting ways that my public humiliation script is coming out. And I had a hard time today managing. We had, speaking of TV, we had the Dish Network guy at our house all day today for about 7 hours. And the whole time he was there, I'm thinking, my God, why am I doing this? Why am I spending 7 hours with this man in my house setting up a different TV service? But I'm blaming it on my kids. But anyway, what happened was Mark and I got in an argument, and I found it really, really difficult to manage my script because he was in the other room. And it was very interesting to see how different my reaction was and the fear that it brought up, knowing that somebody was in the other room and could possibly hear. So I'm seeing this theme, and it's coming out in all different ways of just, I guess for lack of better words, it would just be public humiliation.
Yeah, I hear the script.
I felt so out of control. I felt so, it really felt like terror, like I had to control the situation and I had to fix it and diffuse it and just like all the shame and all that stuff.
And
yeah.
were you aware while you were in it that it was just script?
I don't think so. And what happened, it happened so quickly too.
Yeah. See,
yeah, it really caught me off guard.
That's why we practice so hard to never miss the glitch. But if at any point you can see that you can recognize, if you have a moment of clarity, just an instant of clarity, and you realize that you're in script, even then you can take the half a step back and start looking at it as a script. You can immediately start the analysis. You can immediately say, oh my God, I'm in emotion, I'm in fear, I'm in panic. Clearly this is a script event. And what script is it? And with a question like, what script is it? What's going on here? You have immediately converted to looking at it instead of being caught up in it. So that would be a worthwhile tool to develop, an ability to develop.
Yeah, I think also the other element to it was that my whole family was there in the one room. And I noticed that what I do is I put a lot of pressure on myself to be, the person that solves everything and makes everything okay, and I don't know how to explain it, but and so I think just having everybody in the room like that, it's just amazing how quickly chaos can develop when one or more person goes into a script, and I just felt like I felt so responsible for fixing it all.
Do you get that that's your resistance behavior?
No.
Okay.
Explain to me.
Look at that this week. That clearly is your resistance behavior. You have no responsibility to make everything nice for them. The reason you want to make things nice for them is so that A, you won't be humiliated, or B, you won't be thrown out, or C, you'll be good enough, or, fill in the blank. But that's your resistance behavior, and the level of your energy is a measure of the depth of your compulsion to do your resistance behavior so that you won't be thrown out. So you can go back and review that event and look at it and really see all the elements of your script right there.
Yeah, I really do. I feel like a huge responsibility. It's exhausting sometimes, with having to keep everything okay.
Well, take a close look at that. Take a close look at that. Go back over it, and then if you feel like it, give me a call sometime during the week, and we can review that.
The resistance behavior part?
I'm sorry?
You said go over the resistance behavior section?
Yeah, go over that event and see what the scripts are that were involved, and see what the resistance behaviors were in that event. Take a good look at that event. I would like you to see clearly the scripts and the resistance behaviors in that event, so that you see what was going on, see what the dynamics were of that event.
I'm still kind of processing it. I have a feeling there's a lot to it, because usually I'm pretty quick with these things, but this one sort of got me.
Well, take a close look at it and see what scripts were involved, and see what the resistance behavior, see what the trying to make everything perfect for your family. The families are just wonderful. I mean, they are such wonderful opportunities for us to do this work. And that's what's always important. Okay?
Thank you.
You had a question, Stacy?
I kind of have a question about Patty.
Yes. Put the mic in front of her. This is Stacy.
I miss you, Patty. Patty. Nice to be friends with. I think because I've got kids too, I just figured out that I've got this responsibility resistance behavior. But I know that it goes back to that I will make everything okay for them. So why would everything not being okay cause me to be thrown out? Could it be that it's not about that I'm going to die? I have this big fear that they're going to die. That they're going to die. And then I would die. I guess that's, you know what I mean? Because I know they all go back to, then you're going to die. You're going to get thrown out and then you die.
Yeah, look, I mean,
I guess it does go back to me in a
the
way.
DNA and everything says very strongly that you should take care of your kids and not let them die, okay? That's the core of humanhood is survival. And it's also, we're very carefully bred to make sure that our kids survive until they're old enough to get kids. Then our DNA loses all interest in us. But no, I mean, we're selectively bred to pick a healthy mate, have kids, and keep them alive until they can have kids. And that's the extent of what selective breeding is interested in. It has not the least bit concerned whether we're happy or comfortable or live happily ever after. It just wants you to have kids. So there will be a strong need, of course, to take care of your kids and keep them from dying. Now, when it looks like a fear, then you might want to look at that. Because what will happen to you, fear means that, what will happen to you if they die?
Oh, I would be done. I guess you're right, because I thought this is not about me dying, it's about, my fear is that they will die,
Yeah.
So I guess
they're concerned about them dying, but if it's a personal fear that if they die, blah, 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 is going to happen to me, and of course there's very likely a script involved in there. What will people think of you if your kids die, et cetera, and that's where the script would be.
It's more like I would just want to die, I guess. That comes down to that.
Yeah. So there's two sides to there. I mean, wanting to take care of your kids is one thing, and if there's and as I say, if you're afraid they'll die because of how you'll look or that you'll be thrown, and your script can all get involved in that. Of course, what would happen if they died? What would we think of you? What would happen to you if they died? And in fact, nothing unless you have a script going on. Does that help?
Yeah.
Good. Renee.
First of all, thank you so much for this class. I just love it. As I was doing reviews through the week and going over the contrary examples, I was able to at least condense some of my scripting. Not that I'm getting rid of any, but I can start seeing a lot of overlap and things. Where there's betrayal, or I'm never going to have enough, or it's just the what ifs and the ruinous thinking. And looking at my resistance behaviors, it's just been very eye-opening to me. I am going through something at work, and I've been going through it for at least a month now. And just watching myself practice and manage these scripts, I've been able to at least step away in a couple of instances and at least not engage in other instances to where I don't have to run away. But in dealing with the glitch and finding it, I've been able to just recognize it now, which I never knew what it was all about before. I thought it was just me freaking out or something. But I mean, I really get this. Right, it is freaking out.
What it is? It's the pre-freak.
I mean, I get this either just an incredible like electric shock in my core, and it feels like my entire body freezes up. I can't speak. I can't. And that's a real frightening place to be, I've recognized. Or I just get this nauseous feeling, like if this person doesn't shut up, I'm just going to barf or something, And so it's interesting to actually experience it rather than ignore it, because I have been in the habit of ignoring it. And I've developed much more of a daily meditation practice since this class started, and I'm really seeing a lot of things with that as well. I started at about 10 minutes, and I went up to 15, and gosh, 15 didn't really quite seem enough, and I went up to 20, and 20 is feeling like it's not quite enough for me personally, just for my own practice and what I feel from it and what I experience. But I have to tell you, the last 2 days, I have not been able to feel like I've accomplished anything with meditation. Usually I can walk away and say, wow, I just feel centered and quiet and peaceful, and but I've not felt very relaxed afterwards, or whatever is the things that I feel. But walking in here today, instantly, I just felt just calm, peaceful. Usually I have when I start to meditate, I feel like a really big relax just in my brain center. It just seems to just peel off a few layers, or it feels a little more weightless than the heaviness that I typically carry. And I know that when I am in the presence, I can feel a chill on one side of my body. I can feel a real warmth in my heart, just something that feels very fluid in my heart, and I love those experiences. But I have felt very distracted otherwise in the last just 2 days of meditation. I'm convinced I know it's about the work thing, and I don't quite know how to let. I know that I can continue to meditate because it will pass eventually. And then working on contrary examples was very helpful this week as well. I felt like I couldn't quite hone in on them until I spoke with you, and they are really quite simple. I'm making that a little too difficult, I think. So that's what I've got for now. I'm truly enjoying this experience. Thank you.
I'm so glad. I'm really glad you're here. Thank you. Sam, do you happen to be on the phone? Are you and Ann on the phone? I know you're up in San Francisco or somewhere. Jump in with a *6 if you're here. Okay. Sherry, you're in Cabo. Are you also on the phone or are you at the beach? No, you're in Todos Santos. Okay. Sybil, are you with us? Yeah.
Yes.
Hi,
yes.
Sybil.
Hi, Lee. Yes. Well, the main thing that I wanted to share is that my script is starting to fade.
Yay!
Good news. Yep. Yep. So the main script is that I will always be ignored and treated with indifference. This one relates particularly to my daughter-in-law and my son as well, but more my daughter-in-law. And the thing of that is that I don't get to see them very often. So a lot of my script is something that I read to myself. I tell myself stories, and so I'm really working hard on not believing those thoughts, and that is really helping me a great deal. Just really becoming aware of my thoughts.
Great.
Whenever I think about them, and just because that's where my glitch usually is. It's just simply in my own head.
Yes.
And my resistance behavior to that script is that I do try to fix the situation. I'm constantly I have a tendency to think about ways that I can fix it. But this is starting to fade, and I'm starting to come more into acceptance of the way things are, and to I'm feeling better about that, and to feel better about just backing off a little bit and allowing things to be as they are a little bit more. So that's very positive.
Yes, very important.
Yes, and the contrary examples helped me a great deal, and I'm realizing that there are instances where they are not ignoring me, and that feels very good. And as you say, it does diminish the script, and it helps you not believe those thoughts. But you said something. You said something to me this week when I spoke to you that really was helpful. When you said that we all have our own purpose, and you know, I'm working on being in the place of I don't know more. I mean, I guess in days past I used to assume that everyone was here for a similar purpose, you know, to find out who they are, and I think that is true, but we just take very different paths to get there. And I'm just becoming more accepting of the different paths that we all take, and so my goal is to really be out of judgment with this and not be in judgment.
Wonderful. Let me just say one thing about that, about the purpose, because on one side it looks like the purpose of the whole Leelaa, the spiritual gymnasium, is to grow spiritually and realize who we are. But from the other view, from the other side, from the spiritual side, we are already right now God expressing Himself as us for at least 7 billion different reasons, because it doesn't duplicate. And some of us are here to paint, and some of us are here to make music, and some of us are here to write poetry, and some of us are here to teach, and some of us are here to heal, and some of us are here to teach young children and bring light to them. And our purpose is, you know, spiritually, our purpose is to bring our light everywhere and shine light into the darkness and help other people in their human process of growing spiritually. So there's two sides to that always. And we're all, we have in common that we're growing spiritually, whether we want to or not, the hard way or the soft way.
Yes.
And we're all absolutely unique and necessary for this current expression of God.
Right. Well, thank you for that. And I guess one more thing I was going to say is that I am an artist, and I feel so much the presence of God just all around me, and I feel very blessed to be able to see the world the way I do. I love looking at almost everything with light and shadow, and I like to see patterns, and I love looking at nature, and so I just feel very blessed.
Yeah. Good. Sounds very blessed.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Sure.
If God is expressing as us, then in all humanness, God is expressing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All there is, the first axiom is all there is consciousness. God is consciousness. All there is consciousness. And that consciousness is individually expressed as all the individualities. And we're talking about people, dogs, rocks, cockroaches, things we never heard of. All of that is God expressing individually. If there ain't nothing else, all there is consciousness. This is all a game in consciousness, in God consciousness. Silly game, but a game. Stacy, did you have anything you wanted to share other than your question, or you're next?
I'm still trying to get a handle on what the scripts are, but I do notice just because I'm coming, like yesterday I was with my husband and our kids, and I realized that like we were having a good time. So obviously this is working because I we were having a good time. We weren't like in it as much as we were before when I started the class. So I'll probably call you because I still need like clarity, but Christy's helping me. But I'm still wonderful. Just to wrap my head around it is hard.
Oh, wonderful.
I think because when you have kids screaming at you or wanting you, it's so hard. It's so scrambling. Like what Patty said, it's like I get frozen and I'm like, I feel the glitch. Like this morning my baby was like, Mommy, play with me, Mommy, play with me, Mommy, play with me. And I was like, and my husband was talking to me, we were trying to figure out money stuff, and that's a huge thing for me. And it's like, I felt the glitch on both sides, and I was like, I'm going to freak out. I don't even know. I saw the glitch, and I was like, what am I telling myself about her saying, Mommy, play with me, play with me, play with me, play with me, play with me. Because I just want to be like, fuck this shit, I'm out of here, all of it, I'm getting out of here. Like that's my feel, that I just want to get out of here and leave them all of them. I guess it's responsibility. I feel so much. I didn't really realize that until today. It's overwhelming though, and I can't even process it.
It is when we begin, and you practice the game. The game is when you find that coming on. My reaction to something coming on is what's going on here.
But this morning I couldn't.
What am I afraid of? Huh?
Couldn't figure it out when she kept saying it. I felt it. I looked at her. I was like, what's going through my head?
Well, that's why we developed the script list. Because if your script list is complete, it's on that list. It's one of your scripts when you're in that mood. That's why we have the script list. These are all these things that we've done so far are tools that we use to help us manage scripts. And the thing to do is go back now, look back and at that event and see if you can identify what the script was that was threatened. How were you threatened by it?
I read my list to Christy, and I don't think it was on there. Like 6 years ago when I did this, I had I'm going to be trapped script. I'll be trapped in whatever I'm doing. I won't be able to get out of the job or get out of this or get out of what I'm doing. I had this trapped script. I don't see it on my list now.
Well, put it on there.
But I know that it's not from an event though, but I have it.
Put it on the list.
Yeah, because I think that's what it is. Okay. I'm trapped.
Yeah, easily.
Can I say something?
how do you get eyes turned when you said, can I play more? I'm hearing it's like, if you want more, you're never going to be good enough. Just the universal. And being a parent, I love what Lee was saying. I just was on a trip for 2 weeks. One was with my 2 girls. And I realized that no matter what you do as a parent, you just feel like it's never enough, especially when they're little. Yeah. And so I think it's bringing up the big stuff. It's never enough, no matter what you do.
Yeah, that's human mother consciousness.
But also, I hear in my head saying
mother hub consciousness. Hub mother.
But that it's just never going to stop. That I'm never going to get like a break.
But it will when you if you work at it hard and conscientiously.
Yeah.
Then you will get to the point where you catch it earlier and earlier and earlier. But now, if you miss it in the evening in your inventory, go back and look at it until you see what your script was there and what your resistance behaviors were there. Find them out, see them, see what they look like, and then see if you can back up and see when the glitch happened and what that felt like. We miss it and work back from 10 hours, and then after a while we discover we're missing it by 4 hours, and then after a while we notice it when we're, shortly after it happened, and then eventually we catch it while we're in it and can look at it, and then we get to the point where we can catch the glitch. But that's as a result of continually applying ourselves to doing that. That's the human process. That's the humanhood work. Yes?
So
your name?
Mimi. This is Mimi.
Yep.
So my question is, I am finding myself over and over and over acting out this same script, and I'm recognizing it that I'll always disappoint you over and over and over with everybody in my life, and but I'm wondering if I'm not sure if this is a resistance behavior or if it's trying to manage and control it, or trying to make it go away or something, but I keep feeling the need to actually, it's almost like an amends, like to go to the person and say, did I disappoint you?
Yeah.
Are you upset? Are you mad at me? Are you upset with me? But I keep putting myself in that position where they could very well be pretty pissed with me.
Yeah, well, if you do that, you will get reassured that you did more often than not, because if you're going in that consciousness, that's what you'll experience. The answer is once again to rise above that, to rise out of that consciousness, to rise out of the never. I'll always disappoint you. Do you have a list of the lots of occasions in which you have not disappointed people?
In which I have not disappointed people, yes.
You got so bring that out and reassure yourself that it's not true that you'll always disappoint people.
Okay, even though there's going to be times when I will disappoint people.
Yeah, you may well disappoint people, but that doesn't matter.
Okay.
If you think it's going to kill you, that matters.
Well, it does, because I feel like then they're not going to like me, and they're going to
Right. That's what matters. That's what we want to work with. What we want to do is get rid of that fear. I mean, I'm sure I disappoint people all the time. Big deal. I disappoint myself sometimes, No big deal. I don't think it's going to kill me. It's not my script. So the answer is get rid of the script, and then you won't care whether you disappoint people or not. If you know you're doing the best you can, then you'll be...
And then is it natural that I will then start finding myself in situations where I am not disappointing?
Yes. Oh, yeah, entirely. It'll disappear.
It'll disappear.
It'll disappear, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So it's natural to be, like, in the state of looking at this, that it's just one thing after another, after another, after another.
If you believe you'll always disappoint people, you will always disappoint people.
Okay.
They will always...
thrown at me.
They will always appear to you to be disappointed.
Yeah. Whether or not they say it, yeah.
And whether or not they are. Good question. Susan? Do you have a question? Go ahead, Cynthia.
It's just interesting that what Stacey and Kathy were just saying, because it just came to me right before she started sharing about it, and that happened, or that keeps happening
with, or things that keep coming up with my son, and how I was realizing not catching it as a glitch or a script event, like I'm seeing lots of other things. Mm-hmm. And right before she started talking about it, I was like, oh, that really, because that was a pretty big, like, you know, looking back, and it's kind of is what you just said about the more you're watching it, you'll catch it sooner. But I just wasn't looking for the glitch in those, with as much. I was thinking of it. There's so many other ones happening right now but you know, I've been having these. This particular one seems to keep happening, and especially some nights seems to have a difficulty going to sleep. And I'm sure that, you know, that kind of night is maybe less presence. You know, I'm tired. I'm not, you know, as able to be present or calm or whatever. But that seems to be really triggering me. And then on top of that, you know, some other things happening while we're trying to get into sleep. And I found myself with the glitch, and I was just, like I said, trying to look at that when she was sharing, like, what that's about. And I was just thinking, you know, it just comes, part of it is what Kathy just said about not being good enough. Oh, I can't get into sleep. I'm never going to be able to do, like, but I wasn't seeing that. I mean, when I read the list of Christy last week, that came up, like, I'll never be good enough with the parenting. But this one almost feels like, because it's like, you know, not getting to sleep, and then on top of that, and this is one that really triggering me, he's in the process of getting potty trained, and he'll sit down and pee right in front of me on the carpet. And that just, like, literally, like, I'll show you, you know, and, like, did that when I was trying to get him to sleep. And that just, like, really gets to me when he does that. And, like, a big-time glitch. And I find myself saying things like, what am I saying? It just, like, comes out because I'm so frustrated. And I think that, I guess my question is, I don't know if that's just a general, I'm not good enough, or if it feels like there's more there, like, but it's a little kid, and I see that parenting, like, if we're talking about not kid anymore, but personal sense, that if I'm coming from that place, and I've had this awareness of I'm coming from the place of parenting from personal sense, it's never going to be a good thing.
Absolutely. I mean, there are no children.
There what?
There are no children.
What do you mean?
Everybody is a complete, finished spiritual being.
Right. Okay.
And if you're seeing a baby, that's in your consciousness. If you're seeing a spiritual being wearing a baby body, you'll have a totally different experience.
Mm-hmm. So it's in the way that I'm seeing it.
Yeah. If you're seeing a little boy there, then you'll have a little boy there. Mm-hmm. If you're seeing God there, then you'll have God there. Regardless of the packaging.
So in terms of script, there can be, I guess what came to me when we were sitting here is it doesn't seem like somebody, you know, like at this age I don't feel like you can read my script, but I'm guessing by the glitch that my script is getting read somehow.
You're reading your script. It's always that I read my script. It's always the story I'm telling myself about the situation. If I absolutely knew that I'm always as good a mother as I can possibly be, then I would never have a glitch about anything that happens with respect to my kid. Mm. But if I'm listening to Hub Mother, I don't have that consciousness. I have Hub Mother consciousness, and I'm continually concerned that I'm not good enough, and what will everybody think, and blah, 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 and, you know, and endless levels of Hub Mother consciousness.
Okay.
Joel calls it smotherhood. Smotherhood. Mother smothering their kid with taking care of. Yes?
What helped me so much on this trip for the last week is my daughter was just such a bitch. She's 25. And it was never enough. I mean, I took him to Hawaii. It was just never enough. I was so angry one night, and I came in and read my homework, and I read she's powerlessly reading my script.
Yep.
And it just took it away. Like, I can't tell you. I just looked at her, and I realized she wasn't blamed. You know? Mm-hmm. There was no blame in it. And you know, when your little kid's peeing on the carpet or whatever's happening, that helped me so much. I mean, I know it's my stuff that's being brought up, but when I was able to look at her and realize she had no fault in it.
Bingo. That's another perfect example of 100% responsibility, taking just diffusing it.
So their behavior is what I see, even if it's inappropriate, as per my perception, is my how I'm reacting is
Yep.
still 100%
Yep.
my responsibility.
100%. I mean, wow. All right. There really, everything that we're seeing in this human, read the book on material, metaphysical, and mystical consciousness. Get the difference between those three things and realize that even if we're only at the metaphysical level of consciousness, what we're realizing is that everything, that material is mind. Okay? That matter is mind. That what I'm seeing, that is a mental thing. It's not a physical thing out there. It's a mental thing in my mind. I say again, read Pointing at the Moon and read Dream On. It talks about that. So the answer is there isn't a boy out there. There's an image of a boy in your mind. And in his. But there's an image of boy in mind. Okay? It's a whole different thing when we get to some serious altitude. There's nothing out there. It's all what I'm seeing. And where you're sitting, it's all what you're seeing. If you close your eyes, it all disappears. I don't know if I want to start taking questions on that or not.
I was going to share something because I got a son a little bit older, a little bit a year younger, and I'm not saying this necessarily to sound like I'm more spiritual. I think it's just I have a different script because I so far I don't have that. I'm not a good mother, but I actually got a kick out of the fact that he peed on the carpet, and it was just because he usually has a diaper on, and I took it off for 2 seconds, and he peed, and he was looking at himself like, what is this? What's that? And I turned, and I saw him looking at it like, look what I can do. And I got this, like, cause I'm not saying that.
Wait till they do it like 20
Oh, no. Trust me, I'm not.
And squatting down and like, look, Mommy.
Yeah, believe me, I've had enough other instances that just, I'm not, he's not potty trained yet. But it was just one of those moments of like, at first I was like, oh, and then I just looked and I cracked up at the look on his face because he found this part of his anatomy and he's finding it quite entertaining. So,
all right,
you know what I mean? That kind of.
We're not learning how to raise children. There aren't any.
No. I'm just saying about how I looked at it.
Susan, we'll get to you next week. Let's take as brief a break as possible because there's a lot of stuff to cover in the second half, but let's be back at 10 after, okay? Cool.